Saint Augustine of Hippo was an esteemed late 4th and early 5th century Christian bishop in present-day Algeria. He became Bishop of Hippo, an ancient seaport city, in his early 40s and remained in that position for the rest of his life. Known as one of the greatest Christian philosophers, Saint Augustine was a prolific writer with about 100 books, 300 letters, and 500 sermons on a wide range of subjects from theology and philosophy to sociology, and has had a lasting influence on the Christian world. Among his most significant writings are The City of God, De Doctrina Christiana, and Confessions. The respected bishop was also a compassionate vegetarian and drew attention to the lifestyle of those who not only abstain from flesh and wine, but also from other viands, which flatter taste. He also quoted St. Paul, "It is better not to eat meat or drink wine, or to do anything else that will cause your brother or sister to fall." Today, we will read a selection from St. Augustine's Book 19, in the City of God. The following chapters are dedicated to the attainment of peace, its great value and unceasing universal presence. Let us now continue with an excerpt from St. Augustine's The City of God, Book 19, where we will keep learning about the preserved nature of peace lying within all beings as part of a greater well-ordered harmony. Continuing from chapter 13, of the universal peace which the law of nature preserves through all disturbances, and by which everyone reaches his desert in a way regulated by the just judge. The good imparted by God to his devil's nature did not screen him from the justice of God, by which order was preserved in his punishments. Neither did God punish the good which he had created, but the evil which the devil had committed. God did not take back all he had imparted to his nature, but something he took and something he left, that there might remain enough to be sensible of the loss of what was taken. And this very sensibility to pain is evidence of the good which has been taken away and the good which has been left. For where nothing good left, there could be no pain on account of the good which had been lost. For he who sins is still worse if he rejoices in his loss of righteousness. But he who is in pain, if he derives no benefit from it, mourns at least the loss of health. And as righteousness and health are both good things, and as the loss of any good thing is matter of grief, not of joy, if at least there is no compensation, as spiritual righteousness may compensate for the loss of bodily health, certainly it is more suitable for a wicked man to grieve in punishment than to rejoice in his fault. As then, the joy of a sinner who has abandoned what is good is evidence of a bad will, so his grief for the good he has lost when he is punished is evidence of a good nature. For he who laments the peace his nature has lost is stirred to do so by some relics of peace which make his nature friendly to itself. And it is very just that in the final punishment, the wicked and godless should in anguish to bewail the loss of the natural advantages they enjoyed, and should perceive that they were most justly taken from them by that God whose benign liberality they had despaired. God, then the most wise creator and most just ordiner of all natures, who placed the human race upon earth as its greatest ornament, imparted to men some good things adapted to this life, to wit, temporal peace, such as we can enjoy in this life, from health and safety and human fellowship, and all things needful for the preservation and the recovery of this peace, such as the objects which are accommodated to our outward senses, light, night, the air, and waters suitable for us, and everything the body requires to sustain, shelter, heal, or beautify it, and all under this most equitable condition, that every man who made a good use of these advantages suited to the peace of this mortal condition should receive ampler and better blessings, namely the peace of immortality, accompanied by glory and honor in an endless life, made fit for the enjoyment of God and of one another in God. But that he who used the present blessings badly should both lose them and should not receive the others. Chapter 14 of the order and law which obtain in heaven and earth, whereby it comes to pass that human society is severed by those who rule it. The whole use, then, of things temporal has a reference to this result of earthly peace in the earthly community, while in the city of God it is connected with eternal peace. And therefore, if we were animals, we should desire nothing beyond the proper arrangements of the parts of the body and the satisfaction of the appetites. Nothing, therefore, but bodily comfort and abundance of pleasures, that the peace of the body might contribute to the peace of the soul. For if bodily peace be awanting, a bar is put to the peace even of the soul, since it cannot obtain the gratification of its appetites, and these two together help out the mutual peace of soul and body, the peace of harmonious life and health. For as animals, by shunning pain show that they love bodily peace, and by pursuing pleasure show that they love peace of soul. So their shrinking from death is a sufficient indication of their intense love of that peace, which bound soul and body in close alliance. But as man has a rational soul, he subordinates all this which he has in common with the beasts to the peace of his rational soul, that his intellect may have free play and may regulate his actions, and that he may thus enjoy the well-ordered harmony of knowledge and action which constitutes, as we have said, the peace of the rational soul. And for this purpose, he must desire to be neither abused by pain, nor disturbed by desire, nor extinguished by death, that he may arrive at some useful knowledge by which he may regulate his life and manners. But owing to the liability of the human mind to fall into mistakes, this very pursuit of knowledge may be a snare to him unless he has a divine master whom he may obey without misgiving, and who may at the same time give him such help as to preserve his own freedom. And because, so long as he is in this mortal body, he is a stranger to God, he walks by faith, not by sight, and he therefore refers all peace, bodily or spiritual or both, to that peace which mortal man has with the immortal God, so that he exhibits the well-ordered obedience of faith to eternal law. But as this divine master inculcates two precepts, the love of God and the love of our neighbor, and as in these precepts a man finds three things he has to love: God, himself, and his neighbor, and that he who loves God loves himself thereby, it follows that he must endeavor to get his neighbor to love God, since he is ordered to love his neighbor as himself. he ought to make this endeavor in behalf of his wife, his children, his household, all within his reach, even as he will wish his neighbor to do the same for him, if he needed it, and consequently he will be at peace or in well-ordered concord with all men, as far as in him lies. And this is the order of this concord, that a man in the first place injure no one, and in the second, do good to everyone he can reach. Primarily, therefore, his own household are his care, for the law of nature and of society gives him reader access to them and greater opportunity of serving them. And hence the apostle says, "Now, if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he has denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel." This is the origin of domestic peace, or the well-ordered concord of those in the family who rule and those who obey. For they who care for the rest rule, and they who are cared for obey. But in the family of the just man who lives by faith, and is as yet a pilgrim journeying unto the celestial city, even those who rule serve those whom they seem to commend. For they rule not from a love of power, but from a sense of duty they owe to others, not because they are proud of authority, but because they love mercy. Merciful viewers, we thank you for your kind presence for today's words of wisdom.